It's called the flu season because it ebbs and flows. In winter time, when we're huddled up in our homes with the heating on, it gets worse and we have more cases. But in summertime, when we're out and about in the fresh air, getting plenty of vitamin D, chest infections tend to wane. We've managed to perpetuate and increase infection rates with our ridiculous measures. Locking people down and locking them away from socialising with other people is a bad decision, whoever made it. Social distancing, when you're in each other's company, keeping away from each other's breath, makes perfect sense. But to lock people in their homes, to avoid them mixing, is a bad move for every other reason you can think of, including all the other health issues that we can suffer from that didn't get treated during these periods. Now, my beloved Austria has come up with a decision to segregate those that haven't had the treatment. We've tried segregation before. We've tried to blame people before for the spread of the diseases, but we've blamed it on religion back in the 40s, and that didn't turn out too well, did it? Setting your countrymen off against each other is the really, really bad political policy coming from anyone. We're supposed to live in a democracy, and the fact that someone has not had a medication is not going to make you ill, because the medication being offered doesn't stop you from getting ill, and it doesn't stop you from spreading it. I am up to here with the fact that what I've discovered through Facebook is how gullible and easily led the bulk of the public have been into buying in to what we're being fed. My beloved Austria, how dare you? Du hast a government das bin schrecklich. Your decision making is terrible. To segregate the ones that haven't had the treatment, to allow them to stand in the cafes and the shops and serve you during the day, and then tell them to go immediately home because they're not fit to socialise on any other level. Have you heard what you've done? They're slaves. So they're fit to serve those that have had the treatment during the day, but they're not fit to mix on any other level. What policymaker, what lunatic policymaker thinks that will work on any level? You absolute set of dummkopfs. The government of Austria is a set of dummkopfs. I've never heard anything as ridiculous in my life, and I absolutely love that country. I love it so much I bought a home there. I set up a home there and I used it 3 and 4 months a year, and I love the people. I love my neighbour. I love the people in my village. But I cannot believe you are stomaching this crap from your own government. They are fools, and they plan to mandate a brand new drug with no long-term data. Dummkopfs, dummkopfs, dummkopfs. You know little about it, and the medical board in every country makes drug manufacturers trial drugs for 2 to 7 years. 2 to 7 years normally, and you're happy to take this repeatedly, despite the fact those that have had both treatments are now still as vulnerable as those who didn't have it. Let that sink in. Not only that, they're calling something a booster that is another full treatment. When are you going to wake up that your politicians across the world have got it wrong? And I'll stand and face Boris Johnson off and anybody else, even Sebastian Kurz. You've got it wrong. You are doing the wrong thing, locking your country down. I am up to here with it. I am sick of people who have bought into this idiocy. How can you even think that people serving you in a restaurant during the day and going to work are not going to infect you, but at night they must go home? They can't socialise or go to their friends. They've got to stay locked down, and now they're locking the whole country down again because 11,000 people allegedly have died, but nobody's been cut open. Nobody's had a post-mortem to find out what the truth is behind the death. It's only associated with a disease. Something's not right about this. Canada and Australia, I believe, are following a Marxist regime to change the world, to follow a globalist agenda. My own country and Australia, I'm not so sure. I just think it's a clusterfuck of really, really bad, poor, stinking decision-making by our government. Absolutely ludicrous decision-making, threatening us with Christmas, a little short-ass minister who's had 2 minutes in the job telling us that somehow when we open a packet of Brussels sprouts, we're going to spread the disease. But yet they can go to COP26 and they can go to G7. Put your big boy pants on and face the fact that humans get viruses and some of them that are in poor health may die from it. That's a fact of life. Where did the flu go? So are we supposed to believe that everything got diagnosed absolutely perfectly and it was all this disease we're talking about and nobody got the flu, despite the fact that the symptoms are more or less a mirror image of each other? You're going for that, are you? You're going for that? Yeah, it's definitely all that disease and flu disappeared because that disease has to have medication that's making an absolute fortune. And believe me, your MPs will be very well looked after for this. Billions and billions and billions in test and trace. We're testing 3 times more than any other country and infections are up. Well, I wonder how that could have happened. Wake up to what's going on. Politicians aren't doctors and they're only listening to one set who seem to be associated with all the drug companies making the flipping treatment. Wake up.